When it comes to Mr. Pandaria, well, specifically the pre-patch, if you're planning on re-rolling Monk and you're getting everything ready, or you want to know what you can get ready, then look no further. To be fair, this isn't just relevant for monks, it's going to be relevant for many things, and the changes to enchants is so huge that, to be fair, everyone needs to know about it, because anytime you level an alt from the pre-patch onwards, you can put some pretty insane enchants on your gear, and they're going to work all the way to level 90. We'll touch on that a little bit more in a minute, where I found, and I say found, it's not mine, I just found it online, a really, really good sheet with every single enchant on, so stick around for that. Now, I'm going to be leveling 3 monks during the pre-patch, and 2 of them I'm going to be doing at the same time, because they're on different accounts. I fully intend on one being Mistweaver and one being Brewmaster, getting a couple of other lads from the guild, and just smashing dungeons after level 15. So my Mistweaver will just be on follow, and my Brewmaster's going to be, well, not needing any healing anyway. So I'm getting all of this ready for a couple of characters. Now, firstly, and most importantly, knowing what professions you're going to be, either for the whole of Mr. Pandaria or at least for the first couple of weeks. So I'm going to be leveling Inscription on both of my monks just for extra card cooldowns for Darkmoon Faire cards, if you don't know. Go and check out the What You Should Do Now video that I'll put in the description. And then my main monk, which is going to be the Brewmaster, is actually going to be Herbalism, so I've got nothing to prepare for that one. However, my second monk is going to be Engineering, so I'm already farming a full Engineering kit, so as soon as it dings level 85, I've got everything just sat there on a bank character just to max its Engineering straight away. I also have all of the inks ready for both of them, so all of the Herbalism that I do on the main monk, I'll just sell all those herbs, or level Inscription on another character. Why not? More cards, more gold. So when Mr. Pandaria launches, my main monk's going to stay Herbalism and Inscription until my Gathering character hits level 90, which hopefully won't take too long anyway, at which point I'll be dropping Herbalism and Inscription and picking up Alchemy and Engineering. So now I need a full Engineering kit and a full Alchemy kit, which are both a work in progress. Just in case you wonder why I'm picking those professions, well, firstly, I can get the Engineering head. Of course, the Tinker for the gloves and the belt are going to be huge, and I'm going Alchemy so I can get the Zen Alchemist stone, and in terms of agility gain, it's pretty much the same as every other profession anyway, but I want the Zen Alchemist stone to at least get all the gold challenge modes done, because it's a huge gold challenge mode trinket. And then once that's done and I no longer need the Zen Alchemist stone, I'll be picking up Tailoring. And that's to get the cloak proc, because I'm going to be doing as much Windwalker as I do Brewmaster, so I want to be able to line the cloak proc and the Engineering gloves up with big Tiger's Eye brews, which is basically your DPS cooldown. So anyway, as you can tell, the first thing that you want to do is get all of your professions lined up and what you're actually going to put your new monk as, or your new character as, and have profession kits set aside. Next up, obviously, you're going to want a full set of heirloom gear, but you're not going to want to do anything with that heirloom gear yet. Now, I know it just sits in your collection tab and you might be tempted to start enchanting it, but don't, because you're just going to end up re-enchanting it all in the pre-patch anyway. But the one thing you do want to try and do if you haven't got it already is get the fishing ring. So this is for winning the fishing tournament, and it's so much easier doing it on a dead server. I had done that myself. I went on a dead server with a level 80 hunter, won the fishing tournament and got the ring, and because it's account wide, great stuff. But this is more XP that's just going to help you level. It's not going to do a lot for you once you're finished with it, but still, it's a really nice thing to have there for alts anyway. So if you've already got a character on a dead realm where you can just get it leveled up and win the fishing tournament, I'd highly recommend it. Now you've got to think about those non-heirloom slots. To be fair, it's only really going to be relevant up to about level 20, I would say. So if you can get things like boots, belts, gloves, rings, bracers, anything that you know you're not going to be using as heirlooms, so you've got pretty much a really good set of gear fully enchanted before you go into the first dungeons. Because the way I'm going to level, like I've already said, is mostly with random dungeon finder, but I'm sure I'll run around and do some questing at some point. So just having a full set of gear ready for when you're level 15 and having things like movement speed on boots enchants sat there waiting, and even getting things like agility on gloves, just basically pimping out your character to be as strong as it can. To be fair, I would have 10 of each enchant sat in my bag on scrolls for things like gloves, boots, and even bracers. So let's get on to the enchants now. Now, I found this amazing sheet that's basically going to tell you what each enchant gives you at each level bracket. So if you're not aware, when we get into the pre-patch, enchants will start to scale. So you can put the highest level enchants on the lowest level of gear, and they will just scale as you level up. Now, the thing is, they'll be the same from 1 to 60, then from 61 to 70, they'll scale up again, and then 71 to 80, and then finally 81 to 85. Now, the most important thing really is weapons, and what weapon enchant should would you use? So if we was to look at Cataclysm enchants, if you was to put something like Landslide on, from 1 to 60, it's going to have a chance to give you 150 attack power. Now that would be pretty strong when you was, let's say, 30 plus, but before then using something like Avalanche, where it often deals 70 to 80 nature damage to an enemy, the very first mobs you're going to be killing when you step into the world on your level 1 monk, they're only going to have about 40 health. So having a couple of heirloom weapons already enchanted with Avalanche will be really, really strong early on. And then when the damage that that's doing starts to become less relevant, I'm going to be leaning more towards Mongoose, because this gives you both agility and haste. So putting both of these on your weapons, when both of them proc, you're going to get 180 agility. Like, now that's huge. That's huge to you straight away, literally from level 1. Why not? But I think having Avalanche, where it's just doing a ridiculous amount of damage when it procs, you're just going to walk around one-shotting stuff. So I'm personally going to be going with Avalanche for at least probably 20, 25 levels, and then switch over to Mongoose. I'll put a link in the description to this anyway. I have made a full copy of it, so if for some reason it was to disappear because the original author took it down or whatever, obviously we've still got it. But you could use one of the Wrath enchants like Berserking, where it sometimes gives you 150 attack power, but at the cost of reduced armor. Literally, I'll leave the choice up to you. I can only tell you what I'm going to do, which is going to be Avalanche into Mongoose, and then maybe I'll change it to Landslide a little bit later. Now, what you'll notice as well is you can even get the shoulder enchants, so making sure that you're exalted with Pharazane is going to be a big deal, or at the very least getting a PvP shoulder enchant. Now, you're going to have to be on your max level character to actually do this, but you'll basically create the heirloom item on the character that you can buy the shoulder enchants on, enchant the shoulders, and then send them over to your ult. At which point, using, for example, the Pharazane shoulder enchant, you're going to get 8 agility and 4 mastery. That will go up to 10 agility and 5 mastery. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't scale particularly high, not until you're actually level 85, obviously, but still, getting 8 agility and 4 mastery at level 1 is absolutely brilliant. Now, one thing to remember is don't get excited. Head enchants will all disappear in the pre-patch. There's no head enchants in Mr. Pandaria at all, so don't worry about trying to buy them or stock up on them or whatever, they just won't work. But basically decide on what enchants you want and probably start picking them up now, because they're only going to get more expensive the closer we get to the pre-patch, and when everyone realises that Mongoose is the top selling weapon enchant again. Okay, and then the obvious things like Consumables. Now these unfortunately don't scale with level, so you will need to just get level appropriate elixirs, but why not? Making sure you've got an agility elixir on all the time, or making sure you've got a strength elixir on all the time. Having an absolute truckload of things like swiftness potions, because they're so cheap, you might as well just be popping them almost on cooldown, as in while you're running around in dungeons. If you're running around as a group, as in a guild group that are all leveling monks, then all of you just have swiftness potions and just use them on cooldown. The same goes with food, but low-level food only gives stamina anyway, so it's not really worth even bothering with. Weight stones, on the other hand, you'll probably want like a stack of each of them, going from rough all the way up to like fell, but they stack with your enchants and it's just extra damage, so why not? So if you're a monk, for example, just make sure you're getting the right ones, so the ones that are for blunt weapons if you're using dual-wield maces. Another one I'll be picking up is at least 4 or 5 of these, don't think I'm going to need too much more, but Adventurer's Journals. Now you'll be able to use these from level 75 to 85, and you're going to get a random buff, but one of the buffs that you can get is bonus XP, which is obviously going to be good. But you can get movement speed increase, 10% quest experience gains, 30% chance to heal yourself, 15% damage done against various different types of mobs. You're not guaranteed to get the thing that you want, and it's got a 1 hour cooldown, so you don't want many of them, but if you got 5, 6 of them, whatever, it will definitely be worth it. Now, the reason I wouldn't stack up on these too much is because they actually get removed in the pre-patch, as in they get removed to the point where they just can't be crafted. But originally, they still worked, so you couldn't craft them after 5.0.4, which was basically when MOP launched, but you could still use ones that were in existence in the economy. So maybe stocking up on these on the off chance that they still can be used would be worthwhile, but if they get turned into some grey vendor item, don't be mad at me, because I've already told you they might not work. I'm personally going to have a stack of them anyway, just in case. And then really just grab any BOE items that you think are going to be particularly strong along the way. So if there's anything that you can get trinket-wise, which is going to be like a good replacement, even if it's just going to last you 5 levels, if you can get yourself like an agility greatness card to use at level 80, it's going to tide you over for a couple of levels. Might be a little bit of an expensive one, that, but you know what I mean. There's plenty of options for BOE gear. Just keep scanning the auction house and being like, oh, wouldn't mind using that while I'm leveling my monk, and just pick it up. But they're just some of the things that I'm doing to prepare for leveling my monk, as well as, a little bit sad, but having some summoning ults around as well. So if we want to do things like Crucible of Carnage or you know, the arena in Nagrand or whatever, you know, we can just quickly summon our monks over, get the quest done really easily, and then get queued back up for RDF. So there's just more joint things that a few of us that are re-rolling in the pre-patch are going to be doing, sort of, yeah, between our little group. But cool, if you enjoyed the video, as always, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.